Paris Olympics bronze medals are already degrading. This is what it looks like when it was awarded, and this is what it looks like now. Now, this picture was shared by Nigel Houston, who's a member of Team USA's skateboarding team and won this medal last week. But when he shared these pictures of what the medal looks like today, he said these Olympic medals look good when they're brand new, but after letting it sit on my skin with some sweat for a little bit and then letting my friends wear it over the weekend, they're apparently not as high quality as you would think. But people are pushing back on him, saying that the medal should look like this because it's bronze, and bronze oxidizes over time if you expose it to the elements, and saying that he should have just put it in a case and never worn it. But I would push back on that and say that most bronze medals in the past don't turn out like this because they put a coat on it that allows it to be taken outside without it oxidizing and looking ugly like this. What's actually happening here is the Paris Olympics don't care about the long-term effects of their actions. Let's take the Seine River, for example. They knew that there was a high probability of that river getting people sick, and they still had Olympic athletes swimming in it and getting sick and dropping out of the race as a result of it. In that instance, they only cared about the iconic look of Olympic athletes swimming down the Seine River and not their overall health long-term. And I think this is the same with the bronze medals. They wanted to cut costs when making the medals and say, oh, it'll look good when we initially give it to them, but in a week it won't look fine, but who cares? Now, the Paris Olympics haven't yet responded to the rapid degrading quality of this bronze medal, but if I had to guess, they're not going to do anything about it. That's my opinion. What do y'all think of the Paris Olympics?
Count is now up to 6 Olympians who have gotten sick after competitions held in the Seine River in Paris, and 2 of the biggest Olympic swimming events are still set to happen. The timeline here is important because Monday was the mixed triathlon. This is the day that Team Belgium said, we're out, we have a player who's sick, and this is too risky to put more people in this water. Tuesday was the day that swimmers were supposed to be able to get into the water to prepare for the upcoming swimming marathons, but that was canceled because of too much E. coli presence in the water. So today, Wednesday, water quality results are seemingly okay. The swimmers get in the water and they start practicing for the upcoming event. Now, this is a 10-kilometer event. That's a lot different than the 1.5 kilometers that they would swim during a triathlon. The AP is reporting that 3 Americans took part in today's training, but none of them would dip their head under the water, and even some of them had paddle boards to be able to navigate the area. It's just today that Team Portugal announced 2 of their athletes, a man and a woman, both came down with gastrointestinal issues. Their Olympic committee said despite guarantees that this water was safe, there still is a risk to these athletes. So tomorrow, the women go first. Really, everyone is just hoping for the best. The men will have their swimming marathon on Friday morning. And again, every day these water tests are being done and reviewed by the IOC. But I think we can fully expect to see another round of athletes come down with illness after both of these events.
Sorry, what do you mean an outbreak? What do you mean you're not doing the same protocols like you did in Tokyo during a whole surge? We're over here talking about the E. coli water in the doggone Seine, which we should be talking about. At least 40 athletes, including 16 from Australia, have tested positive in the last 2 weeks. And again, this is not just a one athlete or one specific country. It's multiple. Australia, Germany, Malta, Great Britain. Now, Team USA is being mum of who possibly could have COVID, but yeah, y'all can't do it. Because we found out today that after the men's 200-meter final, Noah Lyles, who took home the bronze, tested positive for COVID and still ran. Reminder that this man has asthma, so this is very, very endangering. AP reported that after he finished the race, he fell on his back and rivered in pain. He was on the ground for like 30 seconds and asked for water and got on a wheelchair. Why in the hell did the Olympics committee not have a protocol, knowing that there's been an uptick in COVID for the last few months and that we are in the middle of a surge? Oh my God.
One of the big controversies that is currently taking place is the inclusion of a predator at the Olympic Games. Now, let me begin by saying that everyone has a right, once they serve their time, once they've completed their penalty, for them to be reintegrated into society. That is a right, and that is something that we need to respect and acknowledge. But there is lines that are pretty grievous, and if you go beyond them, the world is entitled to think less of you, and the world is entitled to hold back from you certain privileges, such as participating in the Olympic Games. And so the fact that this Dutch volleyball player, who's 29 now, and who flew to a different country to engage in an act with a child, knowing that she was a child, receiving a 4-year jail sentence, serving 1 year before being repatriated back to his country, where he served no additional time, and being allowed to go to the Olympics and represent his country as one of the people who his country says is a model of the, values that Olympians hold. And his penalty is that he can't stay in the Olympic Village because of the uproar of this, says something. Now, this is what the Dutch think are appropriate. And at the end of the day, it's their right to bring who they want, as it's my right to be critical of that decision. Let's compare and contrast this with a different culture. This is a 19-year-old gymnast from Japan. She is a national champion. She was an outside contender to win a medal. She is basically, or was basically, the leader of the Japan gymnastics squad. And she has been excluded from her national team because she was caught drinking some alcohol and smoking. The law in Japan says you must be 20 to do those things. Because she didn't follow that law, she has been excluded from participating in the Olympic Games. She has been shown, in accordance with the way the Japanese see the world, not to encapsulate the values that the Olympics say are important. Keep in mind, this is a 19-year-old dealing with the weight of the world on her shoulder who decides to do what I think is pretty normal for most 19-year-olds, indulge in some alcohol and some smoking. And for that, she's banned. She's not allowed to participate. She has to take a back seat. It's so bad that the coach has been like, look, obviously she's disgraced herself, etc., but, please know she's a child and she's been under enormous psychological pressure. And if we as a society are going to say the Olympics mean something, if we're going to say that the Olympics are more than just who is the fastest and who is the strongest, and they mean something about the values that we as humans hold dear, maybe there needs to be perhaps more stringent requirements if what's good for the geese is good for the gander. Because personally, I see this, puts me off wanting to see the Olympics.
So, vein got broken into last night. Luckily my bikes weren't in there, although my bike bags were in there with some things in it. Thank God for bag tags. We found our bags. A massage table! No way.
Oh my God. Jesus. Oh, look at all your tools on the ground. Your gloves.
Perhaps a salad?
Perhaps not. I'll have the steak smothered in onions, a rack of ribs, pasta with extra garlic, French fries with lots of vinegar, and a side of onion rings.
An Olympic gold medalist was spotted sleeping in the park after complaining about the conditions in the athletes' village. The cardboard beds have been a huge point of contention for the athletes in Paris, with many stating they're too hard and not conducive to a good night's sleep. Italian swimming champion Thomas Ceccon won gold in the 100-meter backstroke, but had previously complained about the conditions in the village after he failed to make the 200-meter backstroke final. The 23-year-old told The Sun, "There is no air conditioning in the village. It's hot, the food is bad. Many athletes move for this reason. It's not an excuse, it's the reality of what perhaps not everybody knows. I'm disappointed that I didn't make the final, but I was too tired. It's hard to sleep both at night and in the afternoon. I really struggle between the heat and the noise."
Okay, so I'm in my room at the Olympic Village, and these are the windows. So this is awesome. These are all of the people who are across from you. Yay, that's super fun. There are no curtains. There are no curtains. There are no curtains. So what I decided to do is I found this guy, all right? So I thought this could go up there. And this is an air conditioning unit that is stuck on the top, but it's really sticky up here. And so what I thought I would do is I take this and I would just stick it on there, and now we have some privacy. It works out literally perfectly, but I will say, you have a time clock because this is sticky and it's going to fall down eventually. So if I'm getting out of the shower or if I'm changing, I put this up and then I literally change as humanly fast as possible, because if not, if this comes down nice and easy.
No blackout curtains in the Olympic Village? Not a problem. Who said athletes weren't smart? If there's a will, there's a way.
She said them changed the rule yesterday. Like,
Wasn't
how
announced.
they change the rule and then not say it? So you're asking all the athletes who, for whatever reason, don't stay in the village, them can't come through the gate. We came through this gate yesterday and went through security and was okay. The man said we can't go, we have to go all the way up where everybody else that enters to come back down here. That's crazy.
Hey, what's happening there? What's happening over here now? Where are you? Yeah, I'm actually in the front of the stadium, like in the bus stuck. There's some problem with some athletes. Actually, the organization changed some stupid rules, and they're right now they're holding us in the bus while the problem is fixed. So I hope they're going to be fixing it up to me. They just wow. So they let people out, but they won't let you in. Yeah, okay. I just so.
There's a high chance that Jordan Chiles is about to lose her bronze medal in the individual floor event at the Olympics. The Romanian Gymnastics Association filed a claim after the mess that was the scoring that went on, after the inquiry came in and the out of bounds calling and all of that. This hearing pretty much went on all morning, and the Court of Arbitration of Sport decided that the bronze medal should be returned to Anna Barbaso, stating that the appeal from Jordan Chiles was submitted late, therefore she should stick with her original score, which was the 13.666, which would put her in 5th place. If you remember, Anna was the one who originally won bronze before we knew the result of the inquiry that moved Jordan Chiles into that 3rd spot. Based on this hearing, the International Gymnastics Federation has the final say on who gets what medal. But also Sabrina's appeal was rejected, and I think that was for her out of bounds penalty with her foot. In the midst of all this, Jordan Chiles is removing herself from social media, and it would just be heartbreaking to see her lose her medal. It's really up to the International Gymnastics Federation at this point. But based on the appeal, they are trying to strip Jordan Chiles of that bronze medal and give it back to Anna.
I am feeling literally sick to my stomach over the news coming out about Jordan Chiles' bronze medal win. Now, to be clear, I am not a gymnast. I've never been a gymnast, so I don't really understand entirely what's going on. But from the looks of it, Jordan Chiles is going to be stripped of her bronze medal, which literally makes me want to throw up for her. First of all, I can't imagine what this is going to do to her mental health. She's also been ruthlessly attacked on social media the last few days, mostly by people who think she did not deserve the bronze medal. I was hoping all the rumors I was seeing of her being stripped of the medal weren't true, but USA Gymnastics just posted this. It says, "We are devastated by the Court of Arbitration for Sport ruling regarding women's floor exercise. The inquiry into the difficulty value of Jordan Chiles' floor exercise routine was filed in good faith, and we believed in accordance with FIG rules to ensure accurate scoring. Throughout the appeal process, Jordan has been subject to consistent, utterless, baseless, and extremely hurtful attacks on social media. No athlete should be subject to such treatment. We condemn the attacks and those who engage, support, or instigate them. We commend Jordan for conducting herself with integrity both on and off the competition floor, and we continue to stand by and support her." They posted a link to the decision made, which said Jordan's original score of 13.666 will be reinstated, which means she would have come in 5th and not 3rd. This is just so awful. I do not think it's right that days after the event is over and she already, has the medal, that they are taking it away from her. Again, I am no expert on this, so I don't entirely understand this, but either way, I am just sending Jordan Chiles so much love.
Coco Gauff, who sadly lost her 2nd round match during the Paris Olympics, was reduced to tears during the match due to an on-court argument with the chair umpire. So here's what happened in case you missed it. Coco, who had already lost the first set, was down in the second set, was serving. Bekic returned the serve, and the return seemed to hit the baseline, though the line judge called it out. And because the line judge called it out, Coco did not make a play on the ball, and she did not try to return the ball back. However, the chair umpire believed that the ball was in, and so she awarded the point to Donna. Coco was obviously upset because the line judge had called the shot out, which is why she didn't play the ball again, but the chair umpire didn't want to hear anything about it. Coco said to the chair umpire, "I never argue these calls, but he called it out before I hit the ball. It's not even a perception, it's the rules. I always have to advocate for myself." This is not the first time this has happened to Coco, and it's not the first time this has happened to Coco on this specific court, which is where they played the French Open. Now, lots of other tournaments will use automated reviews. They will not have line judges so that it's for sure in or for sure out, but because they play on clay at Roland Garros, they do use line judges, so it is up to the line judge's discretion as to whether something is in or out. Now, yes, was Coco struggling prior to this call being made? Of course, she had already lost the first set, and had she actually won that point, I don't know that she would have ended up winning the match, but She did have a point. She had a right to be upset, and it's frustrating that her Olympics, at least her singles run, had to end this way.
Some female boxers making an X symbol after their fights. Women's boxing in Paris has been overshadowed by a debate about whether some athletes are eligible to compete in the women's category. And the focus is on these two women, Algeria's Iman Khalif and Taiwan's Lin Yuting, who have both made the boxing final in their weight categories. After Yuting defeated Turkish boxer Ezra Yildiz Karaman put her fingers together to form an X. Bulgaria's Svetlana Staneva made a similar gesture after she was defeated by Yuting in an earlier match. And it's believed the X symbol is a reference to the female XX chromosomes. Both Yuting and Iman Khalif were disqualified from the 2023 World Boxing Championships after the International Boxing Association said the fighters had failed gender eligibility tests. These tests had apparently been carried out after concerns were raised by other fighters and coaches. The IBA chief executive said that XY or male chromosomes were found in both cases, but the world of gender eligibility testing is murky, particularly coming from the IBA, which has been accused of corruption and governance issues, and who has given conflicting messages about whether the boxers received chromosome tests or testosterone tests when determining the boxers' eligibility for the 2023 World Championships. In contrast, the organisers of the Olympic Games base your eligibility on whether your passport says you're female, which is the case of both Yuting and Khalif. The Taiwanese president has posted on social media saying there is no doubt about Yuting's eligibility to compete and that she's under unfair pressure. And Iman Khalif has called for an end to the bullying, warning that it can destroy people.
Olympic boxer Iman Khalif has spoken out about the hate she's received following online speculation about her gender eligibility. On Sunday the 4th of August, the 25-year-old Algerian boxer told SNTV that the backlash she has experienced since competing at this year's Olympic Games is something that harms human dignity. She added, "It can destroy people, it can kill people's thoughts, spirit and mind." The boxer's participation in the tournament has come under scrutiny alongside that of Taiwan's Lin Yuting after both were disqualified from last year's World Championships by the International Boxing Association after failing unspecified gender eligibility tests. The Russian-led IBA was permanently stripped of its Olympic credentials by the International Olympic Committee in June 2023 over concerns around its governance and alleged corruption. Khalif, who is now guaranteed a medal at the Paris 2024 Olympics, told SNTV on Sunday night, "I know that the Olympic Committee has done me justice, and I am happy with this remedy because it shows the truth." She added, "God willing, this crisis will culminate in a gold medal, and that would be the best response." On Friday the 2nd of August, the Italian boxer Angela Carini, who abandoned her Olympic bout against the Algerian after 46 seconds, said she wanted to apologise to her opponent for how she behaved in the aftermath of the fight. She told an Italian newspaper, "All this controversy makes me sad. I'm sorry for my opponent too. If the IOC says she can fight, I respect that decision." Carini added that she regrets not shaking Khalif's hand at the end of the match and that if she saw her again, she would embrace her. The IOC president Thomas Bach said there was never any doubt about Khalif and Yuting being women.
We have two boxers who are born as women, who have been raised as women, who have a passport as a woman, and who have competed for many years as women. And this is the clear definition of a woman. What we see now is that some want to own the definition of who is a woman. And there I can only invite them to come up with a scientific based, a new definition of who is a woman. And how can somebody being born, raised, competed and having a passport as a woman cannot be considered a woman? We will not take part in a politically motivated, sometimes politically motivated cultural war. And allow me to say that what is going on in this context in the social media with all this hate speech, with this aggression and abuse, and fueled by this agenda, is totally unacceptable.
Iman Khalif's semi-finals bout will take place on Tuesday the 6th of August.
Canada's women's soccer team is facing severe penalties for a spying scandal that has led to prison sentences and suspensions. Canadian Olympic staff members have been accused of using a drone to spy on New Zealand's training, leading to an 8-month prison sentence for one man and the suspension of the head coach, who's being sent back to Canada. And as a penalty, 6 points are being deducted from the Canadian women's soccer team, but the Canadian Olympic Committee says that they're exploring options to appeal.
First of all, it's a violation of the Olympic Charter, and we are here at the Olympics, and so you shouldn't be violating the Olympic Charter as the host nation. It's also a violation of the fundamental right to freedom of religion. Athletes shouldn't have to choose between their religion and the sport that they love and excel at. And then finally, it's a violation of women's rights because these are women who are being discriminated against and excluded from sport.
Je trouve très discriminatoire que les femmes voilées ne puissent pas porter leur voile pour faire les Jeux. Et l'histoire retiendra qu'à Paris, les femmes voilées ont été privées de porter leur voile. Et on garde toujours espoir. C'était comme à l'époque où les femmes étaient interdites de faire les Jeux olympiques. Et grâce à une femme qui s'est battue jusqu'au bout, du nom de Alice Milliat, les femmes ont pu avoir leur place dans ce Jeu olympique aujourd'hui. Et j'encourage toutes les femmes voilées, les sœurs voilées à garder espoir. On fera